What are we doing today?
We are pulling the FD car completely apart. Rear subframe's going to come out. We've got all new rear knuckles, arms, whole thing. We've been actually trying to put those in forever. We've got brand new ones that match the front, the Just Engineering stuff we use in the front. We're going to be going to their rear one, which is going to be super cool. Anti-squat, ton of grip, that type of thing. Subframe's going to come out. We're going to reinforce this diff. We just kind of did a quick fix, filled it in with the MIG welder and painted over it so that we could do a couple of days at Nico. But this has to get completely rebuilt. We have to also cut above the chassis here and clearance more for the diff, because when we redo the subframe, the diff's going to sit higher. So we need to be able to clearance for that. Radio's going to come out, fuel cell's going to come out, everything has to come out of the car. Everything, engine, transmission, diff, anything and everything you can think of. We pretty much have to rebuild a car in like less than 4 weeks. So. Can
we do it?
Oh, of course we can. Yeah, we can. There's a good look at how bad the frame is here. You see this got completely kinked and pushed this way.
Wow.
And at the same time, you should see what it's done over here, another kink here. And then it actually started separating this part. Look at this, mate. Look at this. It's separated all of this here.
Oh!
Yeah, so like, I'm not surprised now. Yeah. Or that could have been also just, we made the previous damage from the previous person who owned and drove this car in Australia. Maybe we made the damage worse. I don't know, but anyways, Marco will fix it.
I was just filming the B-rolls and I just noticed this.
Hey, we said we would do it. We did it.
No, I think Daiki did it. You did it, right, Daiki?
Yes.
Yeah.
I did say that from now on, any transmission we drain the oil out of, we'll be doing that too.
But they only hold like a liter, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. These are good. Looks cool. You can see the inside.
Hey.
Oh my god.
Are we stuck? Nah, we're good. We're good. Yep. That's our coolant. This is water wetter. Daiki, wait till I take the radiator cap off.
Okay.
There she goes. Oh no!
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Sorry, Daiki. There it goes. Look at it all. It's like a chocolate milkshake. That's just water wetter, what it does after a bit. So the rules in FD say that we can't use like normal coolant. We have to use water wetter or just normal distilled water. Because if coolant gets on the track, it makes it slippery and all that kind of thing. So it's just the rules. Now we can start thinking about disconnecting everything else and getting this motor in transport. Engine's out! Bye-bye 2JZ, bye-bye Paris. Bye-bye 2JZ.
Yeah.
It's the next day and I want to pull apart this engine a little bit and figure out what's going on and see what is in it. It's kind of been a bit of a mystery engine. When I bought this car, it came over from Australia and I heard a bunch of rumors and things about this engine being forged and having big cams and all this kind of stuff, but I can't confirm that myself. Now, obviously something is up because it survived 2 years without a single problem. We do, however, see that compression is a little lower than what we want to see it. And that could mean two things. Either it's worn out or it was built really, really loose to handle a ton of boost in Australia. We don't know, but what I do know is once we pull it apart, we'll know more about it. So that's what I'm gonna do today. I'm gonna disassemble my very first 2JZ. It's probably not rocket science and gonna be, I mean, if you know how to pull apart an SR or an RB, you can probably pick up a JZ very quickly. At least that's what everyone keeps telling me. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna take the cold side off, the hot side off, kind of get this thing stripped down. We'll pull the head off, have a look at it, and hopefully everything's all G, and who knows, maybe we just need to re-ring it or something and it'll live on in another car or something like that. But for now, let's get to the bottom of this mystery engine. I just pulled off the clutch and I want to show this to you guys. This is a 1,000 horsepower rated triple plate from ORC, Ogura Racing Clutches. And it's pretty sad. So normally we change our clutches every 6 months, like halfway through the season, just to make sure we have a fresh clutch. Now this one stayed on the car a little longer and I did a bit more driving on it than I normally would, but that's because the season had ended and I was like, send it, you know, we'll see how long the clutch lasts. Now it did last, but this back plate is pretty much all but gone. There's chunks missing everywhere here and it's about to go. Now closer we get to the end of the clutch actually is where it gets really bad, if I can pull this out. This is where, this actually has a lot of meat on it compared to what you're about to see. This was the back one, which is what cops everything, and it's almost metal to metal here. And this was starting to slip. I did feel this a fair bit on the last time that I drove this at Mobara, and there's almost no meat left on this. Like it's all pretty much gone. It's pretty much just the tiniest bit left. But anyway, I find it interesting. These things are massive consumables when you're making big power, especially on JZ cars or in any kind of comp car. You're just gonna go through clutches like crazy. I know some people in D1 GP that are changing a clutch every single round, and sometimes they change the clutch for the next day. So if they're like qualifying or do one round one day and then the next day is another round, they'll change overnight the clutch because of how much power and how much grip they run and how much the clutch just gets destroyed. Right, Daiki?
Same day and every round.
Yeah.
Change.
Crazy, crazy. So I'm very happy that I only have to change a clutch, well, with this setup, once every 6 months. Still low. That's a lot for a 1,000 horsepower clutch and something that costs this much as well.
How nervous are you, Sam?
A little, just because we were supposed to open this after our first year, but we never had time and we just sent it. And I was like, well, if the engine blows up, the engine blows up, but it didn't, and it just held out. 2JZs, all right? Kind of amazing. They're not like RB25 transmissions. Oh yeah, people don't know about that. I didn't film what I did yesterday, but I blew up a brand new RB25 transmission, the brand new one we put in the Skyline. I don't want to talk about it.
I wasn't even mad when you called me about it. I was like, why? But then we learned a new thing again.
Yeah, it turns out RB25 transmissions are actually really weak, especially the new 34 ones. So I just opened the little oil feed drain that goes to my turbo. You put it in between the oil feed line that goes in, and it prevents stuff like this from going through your turbo. It's hard to see, but there's a bunch of dirt debris and paint and a little bit of RTV and maybe even a little bit of metal in there, I'm not sure, but it looks like mainly just dirt and a bunch of other stuff. But the main purpose of this is so that if you blow an engine, that none of that bearing material or metal shavings will go into your expensive turbo, right? If you're running, let's say like a G40, it's almost like a $5,000 turbo. You don't want to be blowing both that and your engine up. If your engine blows up, it's already painful enough, right? And then if you want to use your turbo again on your new engine build, if you don't have one of these, there's a good chance that bearing material and metal shavings are going to be inside the turbo cartridge, right? The char, there's the core. And once you run your new engine with that turbo on there, all of that bearing material is going to come out of turbo and go into your fresh engine from the old engine. You don't want that. It could cause damage or could even blow your new engine build. So adding one of these, they're like, I don't know, 20 to 50 bucks for one of these little filters, and you add it in line and it's just an extra fitting, and it just, one, protects your turbo and protects your future engine if you ever do blow an engine. So there you go. I'm glad I installed it because now I know what we stopped going into the turbo. It's cool. There you go, more you know. Big Bertha is off. She did good. She did real good. Handled all the boost. All right, passing it on to you.
No, I took took a breath while drinking.
Fairly common mod that a lot of Jay-Z people do here in Japan and also in the USA is you block off this little pipe that connects the top thermostat and everything to the top water neck so water flows through everything and doesn't kind of mix here. And yeah, you can see mine's also been welded. Very common thing. A lot of guys just do this in Japan to even their stock street cars, just so better cooling. Some people probably even have motors from Japan and don't even know that that's been done. But I know you can either weld the stock one or a lot of people just put a Welsh plug in there, like a freeze plug. Another thing is I think you can buy expensive billet ones these days too. They just replace that whole thing, but I just put a Welsh plug in it or weld her up, which is mint. Cool, well that's good. Kind of just disconnecting the head from the block right now.
Does it give you anxiety pulling every single thing out?
A little bit, just because I've never done 2J stuff before, but it should be okay.
You become a Toyota boy.
Yep. Hey. Ooh, yeah. Pulled my first 2JZ cam. Trying to see. Oh, I got a part number. They're BCs. BC0312 exhaust. Well, I'm gonna Google that part number and see what these are. Come on, I'm a guy. Did you really think I was gonna pull a cam and not do one of these ones? Eee. Oh, this one has BC0312 in. What's interesting though, no ARP studs. It's all stock. I wonder if like is that a Jay-Z thing? Stock head bolts from Toyota are actually pretty strong. I don't know why you wouldn't throw ARPs in, unless ARP had no stock at the time, which used to be a big issue. I don't know, it's weird. You know what? I don't know what I'm looking at. Yeah, bye. What did this catch? See how the edges of the pistons are all like messed up there? It's not great. Yeah, it's pretty clean. There's no crazy scoring or rust or anything at the top of the bores. That's why we use the right stuff with our ethanol fuel. Looks good. All the pistons, they look relatively okay.
This one's got a bit of the same thing right there.
Does it? Oh yeah, it does. Yeah, the edges are kind of messed up a bit. That's probably why. Oh, look, even here. Yeah, I mean, who knows? Like this engine, I think had a pretty hard life in Australia before it even got shipped to me in this car. Yeah, it is a little bit there. I'm worried about the valves and the head now. Hopefully it's okay. For the most part, it looks pretty good. I think it's gonna be a safe bet that we definitely get this motor rebuilt no matter what. There's no detonation pitting. Everything looks really nice. I made a new discovery that I haven't showed you guys yet, but with the BC cams, it has BC retainers and springs, which is super cool. That aside though, I wanna know how much work we need to do to the head, whether we just need a quick skim or whether we need to do the valves or anything like that kind of crazy stuff, right? Easiest way to do that is to check if your valves are leaking. I have this very expensive tool that I finally get to use now, but there is a cheap kind of dodgy way to do it, which is you use a bit of brake cleaner or parts cleaner and you fill up what's left of the chamber here and you see if anything leaks down past the valves. So I have this nice tool, which lets me put it on each port like this. You see, it's well and truly not leaking. So then, nice little pop there, if you heard that. This just lets you know how much your valves are leaking, and this thing is going way past the green into the white, so it's a little vacuum meter, and it just uses a compressed air. It's just a really handy tool. They come with a bunch of different attachments and stuff for you to check different sized ports, but it's a good way to just make sure your valves are still seating right and really, really good. So the good news is that this head is relatively fine, and we can probably just get away with doing a light skim and everything will be mint. It is a 2J after all, so I'm sure I probably could just slap it all together without a skim and it'd be fine. After a little bit of research, these are in fact stock pistons. It seems like, now we haven't opened up the oil pan and looked from it, but this is possibly, most likely, definitely a stock bottom end, which is insane. It looks like all this thing had done to it were cams, valve springs, and retainers. That is insane. This thing ran 750 to 850 horsepower non-stop for 2 years under my care, and God knows what was done to it in Australia before I got it. So, wow. This whole time we thought it was a built motor, but turns out it wasn't. So there you go. 2JZs. Kinda unbreakable. I just popped the oil pan off this thing. By the way, if ever you get this crazy fluoro radioactive looking oil from HKS, it is amazing. Great for your engine. If you ever spill it on your floor, it is still oily. We have like parts cleaner barely takes it off. I'm really not looking forward to cleaning this whole engine, but like literally it's everywhere. Anyways, that's probably why it works so good with the E85. It just doesn't break down at all. There's some interesting stuff in my oil pickup. Also, there's no baffle in here. This silicone, and then there's this thing. It's like, I don't know. It's not a gasket. It's like a big. It's tape. It's like electrical tape. I just don't understand how a big piece of electrical tape ended inside the engine, in the oil pan of all places. I don't think there's anything more in here. Oh my lambda! What the frick is that? That's all silicone. How is this JZ alive? Look at this. There's so much in here. It's my favorite time, and that is dropping the rods and pistons. And I gotta say, I'm really impressed with the 2J. Once again, completely stock. Stock rods, stock pistons, confirmed now that we got the upper oil pan off. But everything is in really good condition. Minimal bearing wear. I have no idea how many kilometers this stock block has done. It looks like it's definitely done a lot, just by how, even though for the full 2 years that I owned it, we used the crazy good HKS oil and it's been running on E85, there's still a lot of carbon deposits in this thing. So probably its life beforehand, it was most likely an Aristo motor that just never got serviced or maintained, which is where a lot of these 2JZs come from, right? It was supposed to be a built bottom end, like I said, but these things happen. Not too fussed about it. I'm just more impressed, to be honest. Oh, wow. Okay, this bearing has a fair bit of wear on the top part of it. You see here, that was getting a little how you doing, weared through all the coating. It didn't lock up or spin or anything, but it's definitely worn down in this section. I can feel it on my hand, with my thumb. That could have gone soon. Maybe not right away, probably, maybe it would have lasted another year, I don't know, but yeah, interesting. Anyways, I'm labeling all of these, putting them all in, because these rods and pistons can still be used probably in another, street car 2JZ. We just change out the bearings and good to go, but yeah, it's good. The crank looks incredible. Looking at the crank, everything about this, it's just really cool to see how much Yamaha really put into building this engine. Also, I think Yamaha were RB fans, because in every single conrod they put 26 on the side. Sorry, Toyota boys. I'm really excited to be building my first 2J, just purely because I'm gaining all this knowledge and experience and stuff. Dude, this bearing looks brand new. A little bit of dark coloring here, but the coating from factory is still on it. I'm really impressed in 2Js. Anyway, sorry. I'm loving that I'm learning all this because it means that later on my retirement plan is to literally just like have my own shop space that I own, whatever, if it's the garage in my backyard of my house or whatever. And all I do is just have a bunch of engines and stuff where I'm building engines and helping out all the young guys compete and drive and like, you know, D1 lights or street legal or whatever it's gonna be called then. I don't know, but you know what I mean? FD, whatever. That's my goal. When I'm old, hopefully it'll be for my kids though, mainly, but other people too, I don't care. I just want to see people having fun with cars, even when I'm getting old. That's what I'm worried about. So everyone's gonna be like, oh, can you build my DC? Can you rewind my my engine? Yeah, 3-phase electric motor. Can you rewind that, please, sir? Imagine that, engine machine shops go from building sick RBs and 2Js and all of a sudden they gotta rewind electric motors. How depressing is that? You can see once again on the piston conrod side, much more wear here. It's kind of interesting. Dude, HGS oil like probably kept this thing running really good. Look at it, guys. It literally looks like Nickelodeon slime. This has already been mixed with like coolant or water wetter and all this stuff, and it's still sticking to everything. Stuff is so impressive. Engine is pretty much disassembled, rods and pistons all out, pretty much the same wear across the board on all the bearings. Once again, crazy impressed with the 2JZ. Just pulling this thing apart, RBs and SRs are kind of my thing, but look how big the oil galleries are for the bearings on the crankshaft for the conrods. Insane. There's no, like everywhere I look at this thing, the amount of engineering that went into this, there's a reason why these things are pretty much bulletproof, and there's a reason why this thing lasted so long. And it's really cool to actually finally look at it myself, get my hands on it, and really just kind of, not inspect, but just look at everything and see how it was done and really starting to understand and comprehend how impressive the JZ is. Yamaha really did a good job on these things. Anyways, enough of that. Guys, if you like in-depth engine builders videos and disassemble videos, why don't you go check out this one, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.